What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex. You watching a Ragin Ronin review. I got a review for you. Last Saturday, I watched Dumb and Dumber 2. And Dumb and Dumber 2 is, of course, the sequel to the original film Dumb and Dumber, which came out in 1994, exactly 20 years ago. And Dumb and Dumber 2 is written and directed by the Farrelly brothers, Bobby and Peter Farrelly. And I am so glad they're back because the prequel, Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, was actually directed by Troy Miller, while it was written by the same writers as the sequel and the original film. It still didn't have the same charm as the originals, and mostly because it wasn't Jim Carrey, and also it wasn't Jeff Daniels, but it just wasn't a very good film at all. But now, the original gang is all back. We got the writers, the directors, the original cast, Jim Carrey back as Lloyd Christmas and Jeff Daniels back as Harry Dunn. And we got a whole bunch of colorful supporting cast members to make this film hilarious. Now, the film, Dumb and Dumber 2, takes place 20 years after the original. Lloyd Christmas is in a psychiatric ward, and Harry Dunn goes and visits him regularly, and they're still best friends. And then in a turn of events, they need to find Harry's daughter, Harry's biological daughter, and that's all you really need to know. It's essentially, it all comes down to an adventure, a road trip. And of course they encounter some bad guys, just like the original, and then a lot of hilarity ensues. And you know what's really great about this film, this sequel, is that it takes a lot of what we loved about the first one, and they brought those elements into the second one. They took a lot of story elements, as a matter of fact. There's a road trip, there are bad guys, they're acting really silly, they need to bring something from point A to point B, and then you bring in a mix of hilarious characters. So that's all great. That is all, really funny. A lot of the jokes are funny, there's a lot of sight gags, there's a lot of funny dialogue, but there's something missing about this movie that makes it as funny as the first one, or as great as the first one. First of all, I'll let you know that the first one is my all-time favorite comedy of all time. Okay, it's the funniest comedy I've ever seen. And there's some really, really great, memorable moments, along with some really, really great lines. As for this one, it is funny. It is funny because Jim Carrey and Harry Dunn, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels have that charm, that natural comedy that they have, okay? And that's what makes it great. And they deliver the comedy so naturally. Now, the reason why I don't think it's as funny as the first one is because the first one was just a kind of like the first of its kind of movie. There's a lot of all kinds of comedies out there which rely on a lot of really forced, crude humor. The original was not like that. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels as a comedic duo are naturally funny. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber 2 are naturally funny. But I felt that the writers, Bobby and Peter Farrelly, and along with the other 4 co-writers and the screenplay writers, they're starting to run out of fuel. I find that their jokes run a little bit stale. While there are a lot of really great moments, I feel it obviously won't have the charm as the original, as a lot of franchises are. The original is always the best, and the same thing applies to this franchise, the Dumb and Dumber franchise, and along with the sequel. The sequel is just not as good as the original, but there are a lot of great and funny moments, but there are also moments that the comedy does feel a little stale and a little bit forced, and almost like it doesn't even need to be there. Like, it just feels that it was it was just an attempt at humor, but it didn't quite work. Now, the movie is really all about jokes, okay? At Rotten Tomatoes, they give this movie a rating of, 28%? And I'm just thinking, look, we're going in to watch a movie that's just about joke after joke after joke after joke after like sight gag after joke. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm watching the movie. I'm not here to see a really great story. All I really need to see is for them to get together and for them to go on an adventure. That's all I really need to see. What it all comes down to is how funny it really is. And it is really funny. It is really funny, but it's just not that funny. I find, like I said, a lot of the humor forced, and I think they could do better. But like I said, the Farrelly brothers are running out of fuel in terms of really getting out some good gags, all right? And some of it's even recycled material. In fact, this film follows a lot of the same formula as the first one. And honestly, I gotta say that I couldn't find any real, like, true, hilarious, memorable moments in Dumb and Dumber 2. In the first one, I felt that there was, like, some moments which are, like, this is the climax of the film because it's just so freaking funny, okay? In Dumb and Dumber 2, I couldn't really establish which is the climax. I find that the comedy is just like at a consistent pace. It never gets progressively better and better and better and better and better to a point where it's like, oh my god, this is like the best part of the film. It's just at a consistent pace, and then there you have it. And then it's just a lot of recycled gags. All right. So that's how I feel about the movie. One thing I also have to mention is that I felt that the biggest and I guess the weakest link in this entire film is the character of Penny, who's played by Rachel Melvin. I find that she is the weakest link because she tries so hard to be as dumb or act as dumb as our two leads. Okay, she tries so hard but never ever works. In fact, it never ever works, and she's never ever funny, even though she is trying to emulate Harry Dunn and Lloyd Christmas. She just doesn't do it at all, making her character not funny at all. So, which is kind of unfortunate. I find that she really was the weak link of the film, and she kind of brought the movie down a bit because you don't see the chemistry between her and Lloyd or her and Harry. It just isn't there. They don't the chemistry, the comic timing does not bounce back and forth because obviously she's not a comedic actor. All right, so you see where the experience comes in for a heavyweight like Jim Carrey. All right, but anyways, that's all I got to say in this movie. I thought it had a bunch of great laughs, but it's not. I don't think it was funnier than the original. The original was still the best. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. If you're a fan of Dumb and Dumber, definitely go check it out. I highly recommend it if you are a fan. But even if you're not a fan, I think it's there. You'll find some pretty good laughs, and some of the dialogue is pretty clever. But in no way is it a comedy with a great story or anything like that. I don't think these characters are really that memorable. I think it's more about you're just watching it for the jokes. That's all you're really watching it for, and the jokes are somewhat decent. So 6 out of 10. That's all I gotta say in this video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. But then his brother shows him opens up a whole new world of this